What's going on, everybody? FullFrontage here today, bringing y'all a Clash Mini video, and in today's video we're going to be going over my updated Season 3 tier list. For this video we're going to be going over what I think are the worst to best heroes in the game, and then the worst to best minis in the game, and then anything that I think is not great, I'm going to give some suggestions on what they could do to change it, or things that are too powerful will also do the same for those. So we're going to kick things off with the heroes, and honestly I think out of all the heroes, like D tier is going to be like just completely avoid, don't touch it. S tier is going to be like you should have at least one of these, if not two, three, whatever in your deck. So D tier for heroes, I don't think there is a D tier hero. I think every hero in the game is viable to a certain extent. So what I think we're going to be talking about is in that C tier, I'm going to go with the Skeleton King and the Shield Maiden. Now, I'm putting the Skeleton King in here because I think the Skeleton King still needs work. I think the only change that I could see that makes the Skeleton King viable is going to be switching its 8th level ability with its 4th level ability. I think having that resurrection just makes the Skeleton King sought after. I've played versus Skeleton King at level 8 to 10, and I would say the Skeleton King is way better than it is with that resurrection ability than it is with the isolation ability. I think both abilities are unique to the game, both abilities are new to the game, so it doesn't really matter which one you unlock at what point, but I think Skeleton King would be a lot more viable if the resurrection was available to people earlier on. It would make it much more viable in that mid-range setup. So I'm saying Skeleton King is C tier, and then Shield Maiden. After yesterday's video, I thought it was completely useless, but then I found that deck and it works really well. But Shield Maiden has, I would say, very niche minis that can play with it, and it's not fully viable, and I don't fully stand behind this level 8 ability. I think what should happen is if the Shield Maiden, because right now its level 8 ability is willpower, gives extra energy upon KO for a boast. I think what should happen is if the Shield Maiden KOs an enemy with it, then what should happen is that the shield just resets its timer, and then you just shorten the timer overall. I think that would be a really good change for the Shield Maiden, and then maybe put that ability at even level 4, right? Because then at that point, the Shield Maiden becomes a lot more sought after as a hero to play, and it doesn't make it too overpowered because the shield doesn't last as long, and if it activates and then a second later something KOs, it just resets, right? Like you don't get full energy back for it, right? Unlike World Champion, it just resets. It resets that timer. I think that would make Shield Maiden pretty viable, and that would change its kind of uselessness of a last ability, I guess. Then in the B tier, I'm going to throw the Archer Queen and the Royal Champion. And I think I'm actually going to put the Barb King in there as well. I think these three heroes they're good, but they're not the best heroes in the game, right? I think with the other three, you can guess where those are going. But World Champion, I thought it was going to be really strong. I think it's just because Royal Ghost is a thing. I think it's just because Electro Wizard is a thing that World Champion is not as strong. If those minis go away, I think World Champion kind of comes to light. So I don't think there's really any change that needs to be made to the World Champion. I think it's just that the minis that are really strong are more viable with other heroes than they are with these specifically. Although Barbarian King is still really good, Royal Champion is still really good, and Archer Queen is still really good. I'm not saying these aren't good heroes. I'm just saying the other heroes I think are a lot more versatile and a lot more meta dependent, which is why they're going in higher tier. And then in the A tier, we're going to go with the Monk and the Countess. The Monk is a very strong, especially at level 8, being able to KO instantly. Really good against Royal Ghost. Countess is also very good in the meta right now. And then in the S tier, I'm putting Wavemaster in the S tier because I think it is the best hero in the game at the moment. For the Wavemaster, I think really what needs to be changed for it is the target prioritization. Right now, it just targets the furthest hero or furthest mini on the board. I think it should just kind of switch to what the Countess is and just target the lowest health. Because right now, the Wave Master, I mean, especially with Witch in the meta, there's some games where the Wave Master can just swipe through a Witch and just basically heal full health. So that way, it kind of forces you to have a different playstyle with the Wave Master. Maybe I'm just overthinking it. I don't think the Wave Master is broken. It's not nearly as broken as when it was on its release. It is still, it's still okay. It's not broken to the point where it's unbearable. I just think it's the best hero in the game, so I'm putting it in the S tier. Um, it's not overpowered or anything. I mean, if you feel otherwise, let me know down in the comment section below. But honestly, I think the heroes right now, outside of Shield Maiden and Skeleton King, are really balanced. I'm really glad I was wrong about the Royal Champion, and I'm happy to admit that. I thought it was going to be the most broken hero in the game. I'm really glad I was wrong. And maybe Wave Master's keeping that in check as well. Same thing as Countess. Maybe those being strong helps. So I think that's a good thing. Now, let's dive into the minis. I gotta say, I don't think any mini is really useless, but I am gonna throw a mini that I think is just not really, it's just meh. Doesn't feel like it's dominant in any way, shape, or form. I'm gonna put the Miner in the D tier. And I'll also just pre-emphasize, pre-address this. I would put Fisherman in the D tier, but I'm putting it in the C tier for a reason I'll get into. But let's talk about the Miner first. The Miner right now just doesn't really feel like it has a place. With Countess being so strong and Wave Master being so strong, you don't really need another like backline unit. So Miner just feels eh. Like it just doesn't feel good. And the fact that like Royal Ghost is a thing, it makes things invisible. You can easily catch the Miner. Ewiz is a thing. By the time you get it to the back line, the Ewiz already has it supercharged up because it's so strong. And then it just gets zapped for 5 seconds, and then it just gets zapped again. Miner just doesn't do anything. It's really weak. And I don't know if that's because the mini itself is underpowered. It might just be that it's extremely overshadowed by other minis that are currently in the game. But the Miner just feels bad. It's just not good. The reason I didn't put the Fisherman in the D tier is because Fisherman is one of those minis that its ability is so good, but it's just not, it just doesn't fit in the current meta. Like the the minis that it counters, it's a very high risk, high reward thing. If you don't catch an Electro Wizard, if you don't catch a Witch, if you don't catch a Healing Ranger or a Magic Archer, you lost. Like you just spent 4 elixir for like nothing. So I don't know if it's the mini itself, if it needs to have like another HP boost, or attack damage boost, or something like that. I haven't figured it out quite yet, but I don't want to make rash suggestions because the Fisherman ability is really strong. I think the abilities might just need a rework, and then you can kind of tweak it. So I'm looking for suggestions basically on rework for Fisherman. I think I would suggest that the Fisherman just rework. I don't know what that is yet. I don't know what that entails. We're only a week in, so I can't really give my full opinion on that. I just know that the clash ability is really good, but itself as a mini is really weak. So the Fisherman's going in the C tier. I'm also going to throw the mini Pekka in the C tier. I just don't think it's that great. It's really bad. I'm going to put the Valkyrie in the C tier. It's only good against Witch. That's it. Not against... Well, it's okay against Royal Ghost, as long as they have something that targets it. But if they just adjust to your positioning on the Valkyrie when they're playing a Royal Ghost, Valkyrie is going to be pretty useless. So that's my opinion on that. I'm also going to put the Knight in the C tier. I did showcase it, I think, in my Archer Queen deck, but it's just kind of meh. It's not that great. And then I want to put the Guard in the C tier as well. I don't think the Guard's that great. It's okay. It's nothing too crazy, but yeah. Then I'm going to put the Swordsman in the B tier. I still think the Swordsman's a really good mini. It's just that with the current meta being frontline Giant Skeleton and backline being like Electro Wizard and Witch, Skeletons will spawn in, Electro Wizard will stun it, Giant Skeleton will deal a lot of damage to it. Swordsman just doesn't have the ability to shine right now because of the way Giant Skeleton is in the front line. So it really only synergizes well if you're able to get a pull from the Fisherman, or if you don't line up with the opponent's giant skeleton. But if they also have a rogue ghost in their deck, then they're pretty much making your fisherman target the giant skeleton. So I don't think the fisherman itself is like a bad mini. I think it's in a really good spot. I think it's really balanced. It's just in the current meta, it's just not great. So that's where that's going to go. I'm going to put the Prince in the B tier. I think Prince is still usable. And it's one of the better 4 elixir minis that isn't currently overpowered. And we'll get to that one a little bit later. Spear Goblin, I'm going to throw in the B tier. I think Spear Goblin is kind of solidified its place in the meta as just like it's 2 elixir, nothing more. It's your leftover 2 elixir that you get from spending to get a 4-cost mini on the board. That's pretty much what it is. And then same thing with Archer. It's not overpowered anymore. It's literally just 2. Oh, I forgot. Barbarian is in the D tier. It is nowhere. I completely forgot about the Barbarian. I think the big problem was the Archer change. It doesn't make the Archer overpowered. The fact that Electro Wizard's really strong, the fact that Magic Archer's really strong, and the fact that Witch is really strong makes that combination pretty useless. So yeah, Barbarian's in the D tier for sure. Then I'm going to throw the Wizard in the B tier. I think the Wizard is still pretty good. Lumberjack I'm going to put in the B tier. It's still viable. Not great. Pekka's going to go in the D tier. Mega Knight's going to go in the B tier. I guess I said D tier for Pekka. I meant B. And then I'm also going to put the Golden Giant in the B tier. And I actually just bumped the B tier I had off screen. So let's bring that back. Okay, well, it's just going to cut off my face cam a little bit. I didn't mean to bump that down, but that's okay. So Pekka's going to go there. And I'm also going to put the Bowler in the B tier. Bowler is not seen pretty much anywhere right now. I don't think it's that strong. It's okay, not great. And then I'm also going to throw the Dart Goblin and Ice Wizard in the B tier as well. So that leaves us with a few minis. In the A tier, we're going to go with the Battle Healer. We're going to go with the Healing Ranger. I think Healing Ranger is still really good. I never covered it in any of my decks. And honestly, I think it's kind of underrated right now, mainly just because of the Electro Wizard Witch Magic Archer type spam, because you really need the Healing Ranger to like line up. But I think Healing Ranger is slightly underrated. I think it's really good. A Giant Skeleton I'm going to throw at the top of the A tier as a mini. Musketeer is also going to go in the A tier. And then we're going to have the Magic Archer follow suit in the A tier. I really like the reworks of Magic Archer. I think it's overshadowed by the other 4 elixir minis, which we're going to dive into right now. S tier, Electro Wizard, Bro Ghost, and Witch. I don't think anybody's really surprised by this. It really is what it is. So the suggestions I'm going to make for the Electro Wizard and the Bro Ghost are going to be the exact same thing. And that is going to be reduce the attack speed that they gain when you level them up. Right now, they both currently get a 0.15 attack speed increase per level, meaning the Electro Wizard can have a 1.15 hit per second attack speed. And the Royal Ghost, I don't remember the exact number, but it also goes up by 0.15. I think it's just 1 hit per second on the Royal Ghost. And with the invisibility that he gets, he goes invisible every 3rd attack, and then the boast is the healing. He can stay pretty much invincible unless you have something to completely stun him immediately, and that would be like Giant Skeleton Bomb, or if he's traveling between long targets, then you might be able to get an EOS shot off. So pretty much how it goes is if you're playing a Royal Ghost and your opponent's playing a Royal Ghost, you need to go toe for toe. If they have a 2-star, if you have a 2-star Royal Ghost and they have a 3-star Royal Ghost, you're gonna lose. Same thing with the Electro Wizard. If you're going toe to toe with the Electro Wizard, if they have a 2-star, if they have a 3-star Electro Wizard and you have a 2-star Electro Wizard, you're gonna lose. And what is annoying about that is you're like, well, yeah, like if you're comparing units like that, then of course the higher starred unit is going to have the advantage. Well, you could be trying to go for that 3-star, and the only reason I've lost battles where I've been rolling for a 3-star Electro Wizard, and I've lost because I didn't get the rolls for it. I was trying to stay toe-to-toe with them, and I literally just lost because I got unlucky on my rolls. So that's a current problem with Electro Wizard and Royal Ghost, is you have to play toe-to-toe with them. And honestly, I think if they just nerf the attack speed per upgrade on those two, I think they'll actually be pretty balanced, because they're not like, they're game breaking, but they're not game breaking in the sense that like they're everywhere, like together. Like there are some decks with them, and then there are some decks without them. Like for example, the Shield Maiden deck I uploaded yesterday has no Royal Ghost, no Electro Wizard. So it's not absolutely dominant. It's just too strong and needs to be nerfed and put in check. And then for the Witch, I think the biggest problem with the Witch is the energy to cast. I think you just up the energy to cast again, and that pretty much solves that problem. I think the biggest problem with the Witch was the skeletons did trigger boast, although I feel like there have been moments where I've killed a skeleton and the boast hasn't come into play. I don't know if that's a bug. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. So that was just something interesting that I noticed about that. So I think these three minis are very strong and do need a change, but I don't think these minis are broken. They're very strong, but they're not broken like we've had in the past with other minis, like Wiz Season 1, Wave Masters 2, Healing Ranger after buff, things like that. I don't think they're insanely broken. I think they just need a subtle tweak to make them more balanced, so that way other minis get a chance to shine as well. But honestly, like the current state of the game, I'm really enjoying the game right now. I think this is the most fun I've had in Clash Mini since the game has released. So many things feel fresh. All the heroes are playable. There's a deck you can find with any hero. I've uploaded a deck covering each hero on the channel, so if you haven't checked those out, definitely go check them out, because every hero in the game is viable. I've gone on 5+ game win streaks with all of those heroes. Every hero in the game is viable, which is amazing. Most minis in the game are viable. You can play a bunch of different things. If you know your opponent plays a witch, like in a tournament, for example, then Valkyrie is a good option. Wizard's a good option. Things like that. So the game feels really fresh right now. I think there's just a few tweaks that I'm sure the team will address come the next season, which is in about 3 weeks from the time this video is being posted. So I assume we'll get balance changes with the new season. Some things will be tweaked. Hopefully nothing too strong, but overall the game feels really, really good right now. So let me know your thoughts on this tier list down in the comment section below. If you agree with it, if you